Hi everyone! Today I have two gorgeous new eye products launching. The first one is Liquid Silk. Now, anyone that's ever tried my Liquid Lurex eyeshadows and loves them, many of you had messaged me saying I would love to have a version of this that is more on the matte side, less sparkly. These are the dream. They're soft focus, long wearing, but also, and I think most importantly, lid smoothing and skin firming. So they are fantastic if you just want a one and done eyeshadow that's close to your skin tone, that's just really easy to use, can apply with fingers, but they're also incredible as an eye base. So if you want to use them underneath like powder eyeshadow, then they create the perfect, smooth, seamless base that's so easy to blend on top of and really keeps your eyeshadow in place brilliantly. So they're really, really long wearing. And I think for me, this type of product, a matte liquid or cream eyeshadow, has always been a really integral part of my professional kit because it's just so good to kind of put that base down before you're creating a look. And the only issue that I've always had with those types of products is that, yes, they really even the tone, they go on, but they dry down and there's something just a bit crepey and a bit dry about the final look. This time with this product, I really wanted to look at a way, yes, to create something that was effortless, that went on really smoothly and beautifully and gave that soft focus finish, but also did something nice for the eyelid that added something extra and helped it to look smoother. So I did loads and loads of research on ingredients. I found this complex called Lapigel, and one of the main features of that is something called Lapacho bark, and it's the oil from the Lapacho tree bark. So I thought, well, look, it's worth a try. I mean, I was trying loads of other ingredients as well and just seeing if anything actually made a difference. And I tend to be super skeptical because if someone says, oh yeah, that's going to make your eyelids look smooth, I'm like, yeah, we'll see. So I tried it and I did quite a lot of research on the Lapacho because I didn't know anything about this oil. Actually, I'd never heard of it before. All the research on the tea was antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and I've actually started drinking the tea since I've read all the research on the tea. Anyway, got the ingredient, added it into the formula. To be honest, I wasn't expecting much because all the data I'd seen was based on it being added to an eye cream, so obviously being used day in, day out. So I thought, do you know what? Let's just try it in the formula, see if it works. And honestly, I was blown away. I added a 2%, which is the functional dose of the ingredient, and I saw an instant lid smoothing effect. So it does still work over time, but it's the instant smoothing that really got me. It also has shea butter in there, so it's really good for nourishing skin and making it not feel dry. It actually feels so weightless on your lids. And it has a self-setting complex, so it sets. It doesn't matter how oily your lids are, it stays put. It's really, really long wearing. And the best thing about it is it's so easy to apply. So for my first launch of Liquid Silks, I am starting with 5 skin compatible shades. So this is really just tapping into my professional makeup kit. So whether you're just going to do a base all over for a no makeup look, and you just want something that's easy, effortless, and just on like that. They're great for helping your powder eyeshadows to last longer, but also great for just giving you that really even tone, really smooth, even tone to blend on top of. While we're talking about eyeshadow palettes, my second launch is a brand new eye palette, and this is called the Fawn palette. I know I've been saying on social media I've got 3 new eyeshadow palettes coming. This is the first one, and this is the Fawn palette. This is a great sculpting palette. So if you just want a really natural looking eye and you just want to very gently, very subtly sculpt your eye, this palette is perfect. And the inspiration behind the Fawn palette is Uptown New York. It's my own personal memories. First of all, when I first went to New York as a makeup artist, I actually stayed in my agent's apartment on the Upper East Side. So I just remember walking around and looking at all the brownstone buildings and thinking, this is so glamorous and amazing. And also kind of tipping into those incredible literary eras in New York. So whether it's Scott F. Fitzgerald or Truman Capote, but there's a certain glamour about uptown New York, certainly for me. And it's really inspired by that. Now, I know I've said to a lot of people on social media that my first concealer was launching also this week. That has been postponed by a few months, so it's going to be early next year. Sorry about that, I know. As I say, this is my brand and it's not... I just launch things when they're ready. So in a few months, it will be ready. But in the meantime, I'm so happy with the liquid silks, and I think you will be too. So I'm going to take my makeup off and show you everything in action. So all 5 shades are named after Grecian goddesses. So I'm going to start with Irene, which is a neutral peachy beige shade. She's the goddess of peace. So I'm just going to put a few swipes on and just use fingers. They are so easy to blend. That one is done. And can you see how smoothing that is on the lid? They are the easiest, soft focus, blendable matte shadows I think you will ever try. There's just no weight to them. You don't feel that they're drying your eyelids out. You can build up, you can put a second coat on, and they are just incredibly easy to use. So that's the shade Irene on me. So the next shade I'm going to use is Ione. And here's a swatch of Ione. She's not technically a Greek goddess, but she is one of the 50 water nymphs. And I just love the name Ione. So this is more of a cool tone mauvey grey. Tap, tap, and that. And we are done. Look how quick that is. And it's so flattering on the eyes. It has something called chronotech in, which means that it's got this beautiful kind of textured self-setting effect that makes it feel very melting and smooth as you apply it. And then it sets into a very soft focus matte finish. So it can look equally good on oily lids as it does on dry, mature lids. And I just love how flattering it is. If you can see that. I'm not going to put any powder eyeshadow, but you could if you wanted to go in with your eyeliner at this point or your usual eyeshadows. But I just find them so nice even just to use on their own because they're just so quick and easy. So that's Ione. So next one I'm going to show you is Phoebe, and she is actually my favourite shade. She's a light camel and she's the goddess of bright intellect. You can see how rich and pigmented the formula is. This is, I guess for me, it's quite a similar shade to the Skin Naturally on my eyelids, which do have a little bit of pigmentation, so they tend to be a little bit warmer. And I just find that this just evens everything out. It covers any little veiny bit, smooths my whole lid out, gets rid of what looks a bit wrinkly because it tightens it all up. And it looks kind of like I'm not really wearing much makeup at all. But if you can see, it just smooths everything out. And again, it's so quick and easy. So I'd say with my skin tone, this is probably my favourite for just a really natural look. I also like using it underneath eyeshadow if I'm going to do like a sculpt or something. And that is Phoebe. So now on to the deeper shades. I'm going to start with Gaia. And Gaia is the goddess of the earth. And this is a deeper golden brown. I'm also going to show you how you can use it with a brush. Because for me, I would probably do this more, unless I was going to build up to a full kind of eye look. I would do this more as a kind of espresso-y, coffee-coloured eye, just using a brush like that. But you can definitely build this one up to be quite a strong colour. And it's a really great shade for a medium to deep skin tone, just to give you that really natural wash of colour. I also love this one on blue eyes as well. It's that golden brown really makes blue eyes pop. Just going to go back in and put a little bit more colour on the first eye, just so you can see as well how easy it is to build up. They just never flake. And if you've used my liquid Lurex before, you know that the more you use, they don't start peeling, they don't start separating, they just build up. They're also fantastic, all the shades, for doing a wash of colour underneath. So if you want to create more of like a smoky eye effect, then just take it on a small brush, go along lower lash line, and then just either using fingers or a brush, just blend the edge. So that is the shade Gaia, a rich golden brown. So last but not least is Talia, whose name means flourishing, and she's one of the muses who presides over comedy and poetry. So she's the actress, and this is a deep rosewood shade. Really smooth formula. You can see how smooth, how silky, and how pigmented these are. I'm going to use a brush again to create more of a wash. Oh my God, I love this colour. I'm going to do quite a light wash to start with, and then I'll build up a little bit with this one just to show you. I mean, you can really have full coverage. They're very pigmented. I'm going in and adding a little bit more just close to my lash line. You could also use them as a liner as well, if you wanted to. But just building up that colour a little bit more close onto my lid. Now I'm going to do a really light wash as well underneath my lower lash line, again with the small brush. So taking the small brush, dab, dab, and tracing along. And then just softly blending that out. I feel like this one makes my eyes look quite warm. The brown looks warmer, almost more yellow. Some of them make my eyes look more green, but this one is definitely bringing out those warm tones. So that is the beautiful Talia. So before I show you my next eye launch, I'm just going to go back in with Phoebe Liquid Silk and have this as a base, also because I want to show you this colour again. So this is a light camel. I'm going to use this more as an eye primer / eye base. So the last thing I want to show you today is my new refillable eyeshadow colour story. And this palette is called Fawn. It's like the perfect sculpting palette with little hints of glamour. So little bits of luster and luminosity. And it's just such an easy palette to use. So I'm going to go and do a look with the Fawn palette. And also at the same time, I can show you how the liquid silks work as a base coat with powder on top. So the Upper West Side shade, this is my usual just all over shade that I like to start with, even if I'm not using a liquid silk. And this is just a really beautiful everyday shade. So it's usually my sort of base colour for this palette. And what I love about this palette is that it is really a daytime look, but you can build it up to be quite a smoky look as well. So normally, for example, I would just use Upper West Side and I'd go on top with Supernaturally and probably use a little bit of burnt clove just at the roots of my lashes. But then sometimes I do a really kind of shimmery eye, adding the duochrome and adding white tie as a really nice highlighter. So I'm going to go back in now with Supernaturally. These do not drop down at all. So like all of my other eye palettes, they are refillable. They're magnetic refillables. They're talc free. They're microplastic free. And they're just so easy to blend and so easy to build up. So that's just adding Supernaturally, if you can see, just to create a really nice natural looking socket line. And if I was just doing my makeup for daytime, I'd probably just stop there, put a bit of mascara on, But I'm going to show you also how we can use the other shades. Next, I'm going to go back in with Upper West Side and just do a really soft wash. And then go in with Supernaturally just to get a little bit more depth there. That would kind of be enough for me for during the day. Probably would go in a little bit as well with the deeper shade, which is Burnt Clove. This one I just really like to use more as a liner. This is really kind of a nod towards that Edwardian technique of doing your mascara and your eyeliner with Burnt Clove, and it just gives enough definition. Again, you can obviously build up. I'm just doing a really light kind of wash of colour. And what I love about the texture is that, I don't know, it's kind of foolproof. So if you're not the world expert of blending eyeshadows, you kind of don't need to be, because everything just kind of sits in together. So next I'm going to go on to Debutante, and this is a really beautiful duochrome, which can look either, if you can see that on camera, goes from a peachy pink to a gold shade. So this is great if you just want to up the ante and up the glamour. Either you can use it right across the lid in a kind of soft wash, or you could build it up and do a really gleaming eye. I'm just going to put a little bit just over the mobile bit of my lid. You can get a really lovely kind of wet looking shine with this. And as I say, it just depends on the angle that you're looking at. For a last touch, I'm going to use White Tie. So this is more of the luminous shadow. And this one is just really nice for highlighting. So you can either use it at the inner corner, you can use it with fingers to do a little kind of highlight at the centre of your eye. I'm just going to use it here for now. This looks really lovely as well if you do a really simple eye, maybe just with 2 shades, and then just add a little bit of light at the centre of the eye and just at the inner corner. So I'm just going to put a little bit of mascara on and then just do my finishing touches. So just put on some Kitten Lash mascara, and that is my look for today using the new Fawn eye palette. And I think it's just a really easy palette to use, whether you want to do a really simple day look, just with a couple of the neutral browns and maybe a touch of shimmer, or whether you want to do it all really pared down, or whether you want to build up. I mean, I haven't used Dorian today, but that one is a lot more of an intense kind of, you can see, kind of shimmery brown shade that you can really add the drama, really create that smokiness if you want to. And I don't know if you can tell, but with the liquid silk underneath, my eyelids are looking, they're usually quite quapey, incredibly smooth. I can't tell you how good this extra ingredient is in there, and it was something that I kind of wanted for myself, and when I found this ingredient I was like, get that into the new eye product. So that's my 5 new liquid silk eyeshadows, one and done soft focus matte liquid eyeshadows with extra lid smoothing and tightening, and my latest palette, which is a colour story called Fawn. So it's the Fawn palette, and it's just a great sculpting palette full of neutrals, but it has got that little bit of shine, that little bit of glamour as well. So I hope that was helpful. If you want any more information, do contact us, either DM us on Instagram or on any of the social media channels, or you can email us at support@lisaeldridge.com and we can help you. You've got makeup artists, fantastic makeup artists that can help you find the exact perfect shade for you. Do let me know in the comments which was your favourite shade, and I can't wait for you to try them.